Cool. We just started. So yeah, so let's start with some puzzles, and I will set up a new rule of this in this session. So I was thinking maybe all of you can work as a team, and I will be the one like solving the puzzle like against you. I will play on my own. So how does it work? So I go to so in chess.com there's a custom puzzles, and I set the rating start from 3,000 to 3,500, and it's very high, and it includes all themes. So we don't know what theme we'll be facing. So and also I will not be able to know that what other puzzle we'll be looking at. So let's look at the puzzle together and try to think of the best move. And the thing is, each one of you only have one attempt, okay? And no discussion is allowed. So each one will have one attempt. So for example, if you feel ready, you just let me know your move and I can move the pieces for you. But if you are not have done it perfectly, so your attempt is used up. And we have be like we have like done all the correct moves. Okay, so for example, because you guys work as a team, so altogether you have three attempts, and I only have one attempt. Okay, so if you guys used up all the three attempts, and I win because you use it, even though I don't like solve it, I still win. Okay, but if I use up my attempt, no matter you guys solve it or not, your team wins. Is that clear? Does the rule make sense? Is that fair? Maybe we can play a trial round to see how it works. Let's get started. So let's start with the first one. I click start. Okay, black to move. Shout out if you have the answer because I won't be looking at the screen. I will be looking at the camera. I only look at the chessboard. Oh, Clara
Queen
joined.
B6.
One second, sorry, Blake, Clara joining, and keep thinking about the puzzle. I would explain the rules to Clara. Hello, Clara. Can you hear me? Hello. How are you, Clara? Can you see my screen? Yes. Okay. Cool. So I set up a challenge. So the rule is like all of you work as a team, four of you work as a team, and I will be playing on my own. So we have two teams. You guys made up with one team, and I work as another team. So I just started puzzle. It is also the first time looking at this puzzle. I don't know the solution. So each one of us only have one attempt to try out the moves. So if we cannot find all the perfect moves, that's a failure. And so yeah, so you guys have four attempts altogether. I only have one attempt. And if you're ready, let me know the moves, and I can move the pieces for you. Is that clear, Clara? So this is a rating which has this puzzle has rating over 3,000. So it's pretty difficult. Okay. So this is a trial round. And Blake, did you say something before Clara joined?
Queen
Do you want
A6.
Queen a6? Let's move the queen. Ooh,
No.
sorry. It's not correct. So Blake, you don't have the chance anymore. So and no discussion is allowed. No discussion is allowed, okay? But you can always think about the move, like okay, okay, it's a good try. Then I know I will exclude Queen a6. I was also thinking about same move. Jaden,
Bishop to what is it? I just need C4.
here?
Yeah.
Let's try. Ooh, sorry. Uh, it was not correct. Yeah, I was also thinking about this move, but it didn't work out. Okay, we don't. Queen a6, bishop c4. Neither one works. Oh, this one is hard. It's difficult. Jaden, do you want to say something?
Try out. I've got an idea. Maybe queen to d1.
Uh, you cannot try that. Sorry.
Well,
Because you have used up
it
your
might be a good move because I don't
queen to
know.
d1. You want to like bring some input, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, since it's a trial round, okay. I mean, queen to d1. It's so you have your teammates, Jack and Clara. Maybe it's something, yeah, could think about. Yeah, queen d1. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Jack and Clara, do you have any idea to share? I mean, this is the trial round. Yeah, if you want to try something, we can like move it on the board. Or Blake, do you have any other moves you found could be right? Oh, this one is so hard. I think this is so. Jaden?
Thinking of queen to a8 now.
Queen to
Queen,
a8. Yeah. Uh,
I want to.
Blake also mentioned queen to yeah, queen to a8. I was thinking about the same. But, yeah, let's discuss a bit. I mean, you wanted to move the rook to d8, right? Queen to a8. Is that what your purpose? Is
And
that
that's
your
what I wanted. And it also, just in case if they block it, we can actually just take it.
then what about king to e3?
Oh, yeah. Mm, mm,
And if king to d1, I think Blake also attacks this one. So
maybe.
attacking c2. Then what about c3?
Bishop c4.
Bishop c4. Oh, then you can move. Yeah, because the knight is pink. Oh, that looks good. So we can bishop c4 and take c2. Then what about the rook c5?
I was thinking rook c5, so that's why I don't
Mm,
think it's too good.
mm,
I was thinking of bishop f5 after that.
Bishop f5, yeah. Then what about king to no. King
Couldn't
to
you just take it?
Then there's queen c2.
What?
yeah, if you take it, queen c2, rook king e3, and you're going to win the rook at least.
Yeah.
Okay. But what about can the king move to e3?
Then I was thinking of rook e1.
Rook e8, you mean?
Yeah, rook
And
e8.
the king goes to f4.
I was thinking of queen g4 after that. I think
Ah,
that's
that's a
checkmate.
checkmate. That's checkmate. Cool. Shall we try that? At least this is a trial round. I don't know.
Let's try.
Let's see. Okay,
Oh,
cool.
try
We're on the
Great.
right track. Bishop f5. Good. Queen c2. Did we take the rook?
it.
Do
Yeah,
we
no,
take the rook?
Yeah, just trump it.
yeah, just chop it.
Can we check that? Check that queen f4. No. Then we take the rook. Okay, good. Cool. Yeah. But a very good job. We found the best solution. This is not easy. So, I mean, queen to d1, attack this pawn. Yeah, rook c5, bishop f5. And yeah, we just walk through the solutions. Okay, shall we try our first round? I'm thinking maybe we can play a 3 rounds. This is the first like trial round. It doesn't count. We have 3 rounds. Okay, so let's try that. Puzzles, custom puzzles. Okay, are you ready? Do you want? Shall we start? Let's see. First round, black to move. Can I try the first one? I have idea. I'm not sure. Rook d1. Okay, d2. Take it. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. This one was easier than the last one. But I can share how I was reasoning. Because yeah, the c1 is guarded. If we play c1, we win the bishop, but we will lose the d3 pawn. We'll lose this to very good pawns. So I'm thinking, can we like chase the bishop? And yeah, if with d1, if king to d3, we can promote, and the bishop is pinned. And yeah, if bishop move away, this is what we saw, and I play d2. And c1 is not stoppable. So what else? The king c3 is not a solution because it's protected. And if rook take our pawn, we can take this one, and we can still like promote in one move. And the rook cannot move to b1. I mean, it will be captured for sure. And so one last thing is if rook a1, we can move rook to d1. Okay, yeah. So okay, I got 1 point.
What?
So let's move the second round. So we play 3 rounds. Okay. Black to move. Jaden?
Bishop e3.
Bishop e3.
Yeah.
Oh no. Unfortunately, it's not correct. You're trying to attack the rook. Okay, Blake left a message. Sorry, I missed that. Queen e6. Here? Let's try. Oh no. What is Jaden, you have used your attempt. But can I try first, Jaden?
Yeah.
I would like to try first.
Okay.
If I made a mistake, then you guys don't want, and I would like to hear your thoughts, Jaden. But if I win, I can still like let you say your idea.
Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking about take the rook and take the rook again. Oh, b4. This is not what I expect. I was expecting rook f5. And okay. Um, hmm. Du, 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 du. Hmm. b4. Hmm.
Now can you go queen e6?
No, bishop b3, I think.
Queen e1.
No,
Yes.
your queen
Yes.
is pinned.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. But I think I can move my this bishop to somewhere. As long as keep the bishop like, yeah. Uh, by the way, Jaden, did you have the same move as I did here with D2?
No, I didn't. I had a different move.
Okay, but we can review why is the rest of the moves not correct. B4, interesting. If I take the pawn, rook to F5, can I still play queen to E6? No, bishop B3. Oh, maybe.
I think a bishop b3. I mean,
Sorry?
rook f2. I think a rook f2.
Rook F2. Then what about take your bishop?
Yeah, I think a rook f3.
Rook F3 and take your queen. And
Then
you take this rook.
bishop b4. Yeah, no, yeah, then you
Yeah,
take it.
you can take the queen. Oh, rook F2. If the queen moves to B3, for example.
Then bishop b6.
Okay, yeah, that's a check. Mm, I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea. So let's do that. Oh, that's correct.
It's my move.
Yeah. So your move. So I don't solve that. I don't solve that because I didn't expect the B4. I was thinking about like rook F5, and then I play queen to E6 because I'm going to queen E1 to like check and also win the bishop, and also queen E6, my queen. So if I have a queen to, let's just look at
Then you can
this.
sack the queen. You can sack the queen for the rook and then rook d1.
Sorry, let's try to look at that together. Queen E6, is that a good move? Is that the best move? I was thinking about like queen E1 or take the rook. I can take this one. And my F8 is guarded, which is
I
good.
think it works.
Sorry?
I think it works.
You think it works? Jaden, you raise your hand?
Oh, it's white to move, right? Yeah, okay, fine. So you're threatening checkmate on the back rank.
And also winning the bishop. Maybe background checkmate is not
It's not going to be
possible.
possible. So
I think that just wins.
But I think I can win the bishop.
well,
What about
if I block it, for example, and then you could just play queen takes rook, and then the queen
yeah,
takes rook, and then you checkmate.
that's another
It's
that's true.
all right, but I was just having a little think about queen to h5. I know, queen to h5.
You mean here, queen to h5.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, then the queen e1.
It's queen e1.
Yeah, there's a background checkmate. But I didn't expect the b4 move. Rook f2. So if the queen just simply move,
I
what
was
if
talking rook f4.
take that,
Rook
take
f4,
it?
queen f4, queen e6.
Oh, then okay, because bishop b3 is okay. So and also there's the background checkmate. What if well, we so protect the bishop. The queen is doing so many things. What about queen g3?
Then I can save the bishop with like bishop d6.
Bishop d6.
Or bishop
Okay,
e4.
bishop d6. Yeah, the queen's protect. But otherwise, I was thinking like bishop b3. But yeah, you can take this one. Take. Yeah, but black still win the piece. Yeah, rook f2 is a good move. I didn't expect that. Okay, so I solved the most of the puzzle, but I didn't like find all the solutions. So that was a failure for me. So you guys get the 1 point. Good, but
Oh,
the important thing is we learn something. Okay, the important thing we learn something. So now it's 1-1, and we have a last puzzle.
oh
It's a final round. Okay,
So
it's a final round. Are we ready?
No.
Now it's 1-1. Let's get started.
what does that mean?
Why to move? So I mean, because I didn't like find all the best moves, I was stuck on the last move, and Blake come up with the last move rook f2. So yeah, I that was a failure in my side. Clara, hand is up. Go ahead. You're muted, Clara.
the first thing that popped into mind was just rook f1
Do you want to try that?
Uh, I think I'm risking it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wait,
that
no,
looks
wait.
good. That looks good. Rook king f2. Are you gonna take the queen? I don't want to mislead you, but yeah, feel free to say your move.
Maybe that doesn't work.
I'm just gonna take the queen.
Do you agree, Clara? Are you gonna take the queen?
Yeah.
Let's try that. Okay. Ooh,
What?
why is that? I don't understand.
Huh?
It
Yeah,
looks
how's that
so.
work? Yeah. How's that work?
Let's take another look. It must mean something. We will explain that later. We have to learn something, but this is so unintuitive. I was also thinking rook f2, but it seems so easy, right? It has a rating over 3,000. It shouldn't be that easy. Jaden,
Queen f3, check properly, baby.
you mean
No.
here, queen f3, queen takes,
Queen take, rook takes, blah
then
blah.
king to g8.
Then I don't know. No,
Yeah,
maybe rook takes pawn. Rook takes g7.
Yeah, but he's still up a bishop.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Clara, do you want to say something again? Your hand is up.
I think Queenie won. Maybe I don't need. I can't have any more turns, but when as soon as he finished talking, I just realized Queenie won because normally I thought of Queenie 3, but then they could take the rook.
Mm,
Queenie
yeah,
won.
yeah, queen one. Yeah, that looks good. So we don't rush taking the queen, but forcing it, taking our rook. Otherwise, we can win a queen and a rook. And if we take that, we take with the queen, and we can. But oh, I mean, take that. You take the queen, right? What about king to e5? Because if king to g6, we can move queen to f7 and win the bishop. What about king to e5?
And Queen. I'm pretty sure just Queen A1. Yeah.
Queen a1, then what about king to f5? You want to like ping my rook, but what about king back to f5?
And rook C5.
King back to g6?
Oh, that's annoying.
You could just
Yeah,
rook takes f7 maybe, because now it's rook maybe.
you mean when king goes to f5, you
Yeah,
move.
it could,
Okay, I see. And king to g6, and then you can take the bishop and then win the b2 rook.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
Uh-huh. And let's try. So
Yay!
it's over. It's over. But let's figure out. Let's figure out if we are on the right track. Oh, what is happening?
7.2%.
Oh, let's. How can I? Yeah, let's review. Do do do. king e5, right? Queen a1. Yeah, if king to here, we can take that. And then we can take the bishop and win
And
the
you take
rook.
the rook.
But what about king goes to d5?
We still take that pawn.
Right.
Take the pawn and the bishop go to e5.
I don't see this.
And
Yeah,
the
it feels like can we go back one little bit? So let's think about this position. Can we, apart from queen a1, because we have so many things we can do, right? Is queen a1 the best move?
taking the pawn right
Taking the
now
pawn
with rook.
with the
I know,
rook.
cool.
What are you going
With
to do?
rook. I don't know. Maybe maybe rook on d to b8. Try to pin the queen down.
So d2. Okay, I
So
mean black.
they might
Okay,
play rook. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
yeah, that's an interesting move. Now what you gonna do next?
Then
We'll
they
play queen e1, I guess.
check. Yeah,
Queen e1, king goes to.
rook is on f.
Okay, yeah. If king to e4, maybe queen to e. Yeah, it
And
looks like we can make in a couple of. I don't know. King to d6. Can we checkmate?
I don't think so, but you can just take the bishop.
What do you mean? Take the bishop?
No, I'll have to look f7.
Okay, take yeah, okay. Now what about rook? Oh, you mean I'm confused. Rook f7, rook b8.
Queen e1.
What you gonna do?
Queen e1.
Queen e1, okay. King to d6.
Queen g3.
Okay, check again. And then we can win the bishop. At
Yeah.
least. Yeah. Okay, yeah, rook f7. Let's try. Let's take a pick. Rook f7. Yeah, rook f7 is the best move. Good. Yeah,
Let's
I'll
see
pick.
why rook f2.
To queen taking a bit. Why is that not good?
Yeah. Okay. So you queen to e1. Yeah, this is
Almost equal to rook takes f2.
yeah, if we take the queen immediately, that's quite equal.
It's
Yeah, because we cannot attack f7, I think.
I think queen b7.
I think king to g6. Yeah. If queen e4 again, maybe yeah, the king can go back. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. I mean, taking the queen looks so like tempting, but it turned out to be wrong. Queen e1. Okay. Cool. So very interesting session. We can do something more in the future lessons. So yeah, I mean solving puzzles are very important. So in your rest of the time or your spare time, please try to solve like puzzles and also set up a goal. For example, you want to achieve like how many chess puzzle ratings in like 1 or 2 months. Okay, so the rest of the lesson, I would like to introduce like rook maneuvering, because last time we talked about knight maneuvering, and I give you some like positions and ask what is ideal position you would like to move the knight and how to achieve that. So today I would like to say something about the rooks. So rook maneuvering is not easy. The reason is it controls like not only vertical but also like horizontal lines. So sometimes you have so many choices to move the rook. I would take this game as example to show. So this is coming from Sicilian defense, and black have all the pieces. within this 3 ranks. So in this game, black play rook e8. And I will ask you, everyone, so every time when black move the rook, I will ask you, what is the purpose of that? So for example, rook e8. So what is the purpose of this rook e8? Any upcoming moves after this one? Jaden, go ahead.
Bishop back to d8 and then maybe e5.
D8.
Yeah, and then
Okay, okay. You mean you want to play e5? Okay, yeah,
get back into the game.
yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. And Clara, what do you think?
Maybe like after this, they could play d5,
You mean pawn to d5?
and then like move the bishop to make him more active.
Then, if we want to play d5, why do we play rook e8 before that? Does this two move have any connection?
Then we play d5. Like when they like capture their pawn, you can capture with the e pawn, and then it opens up.
Okay, so yeah, maybe after d5 we can make this e5 open, and then our rook can attack white pieces. Okay, but it's more it's about like pushing center from e5 or d5. Let's see how it goes. Very good inputs from both of you. So I will not like review the answer, but let's figure it out. Rook e8, and why play bishop to f3? Bishop move up, protect e4, and maybe potentially aim at this diagonal. And then black play rook b8. Interesting. What is the purpose of this move? Jack, what do you think? What's the reason behind rook b8?
Well, they might want to, in the future, maybe like trade, probably maybe like play knight takes d4 and then maybe try play b5.
Yeah, b5. Yeah, that's a very good reason. We can support b5. And pushing the b pawn is very important to attack the queen side. So the c file is the only like semi-open file. If we want to attack, for example, the c2 pawn, we have to push our b pawn to b4 to kick the knight, for example. And also, if we have rook to a8, if we play b5, this a file, our rook is hanging. So white take that. We cannot simply take that. We'll lose a8. So move the rook to b8, preparing to play b5. Go, let's see. So white play queen to d2, and queen to bishop to d7, maybe protecting the knight. Yeah, and the knight to b3, and we play b6. Interesting. Instead of play b5, black play b6. Why is that? Can we play b5? Why don't we play b5? Any problem with b5?
Yeah, because of a5 and bishop b6.
A5 and bishop b6. What do you mean? You mean this squares?
So white goes a5.
I'm here and the bishop to b6. Okay, yep. Yeah. If we want to open like file, our opponent could like close that. So then we don't have a chance to open the file. Yeah, that's a very, very solid like response. And I think that's also the reason why you play knight to b3, because a5, the knight and rook protecting that. Yeah, that's a very good point. And the bishop can go to b6. So black played b6, and white played g4. White want to attack the king side apparently, and bishop back to c8. Interesting. What is the reason of bishop c8? Or what could be the next move of the C8 bishop? Jaden?
A5, bishop A6, and B5.
Okay. Maybe move the bishop to A6 and the B5.
So you can't like actually push it forward. So he pretty much has to take it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Maybe do A6 and play B5. Okay, let's see. G5, knight to D7, and queen to F2. And we played bishop to F8. Interesting, because when I asked what could be the upcoming moves was rook to E8. I think we mentioned maybe moving the bishop away and then D5. And instead of moving the bishop to D8, Black chose to move the bishop to F8. So yeah, bishop to F8, bishop to D8, which one's better? And any reason? Why did Black move bishop to F8? So it's about maneuvering pieces. Why
I think maybe after bishop f8, rook e7, bishop e7, and rook e8.
I mean rook e7 and rook e8, you mean this rook to e8?
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't block this rook to e8. If we move bishop here, the rook is blocked. All the two rooks are like disconnected. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. But why do we move these two rooks at e8 and e7? What are you gonna do next, Blake? Imagine you have two rooks already at e5. What are you gonna do?
Maybe
The reason
start from f5.
you want to play f5? Then why do you play f5?
I try and open up the e file.
Okay, so yeah, this is why I'm asking, because right now if we have two rooks at these two squares, they are blocked by the e6 pawn. So we need to open the e file. Otherwise, these two rooks are quite stuck. So f5 could be something to open the center file. And another thing is, if you imagine the next position for the bishop, maybe g6 and bishop to g7 looks a very good idea, because then the bishop can be active at this diagonal. And now if the bishop at e7 is a little passive. So yeah, so I think that is really the bishop to f8 is better. Jaden?
Just asking, after bishop f8, if f5, then what happens if you're on passons?
Oh, you mean once you play f1, if like white take the pawn? Yeah, that's a good question. Let's see. Let's see how it goes. Bishop f8, bishop to g2, and we play bishop to b7. Oh, the bishop, you remember, move to d7, back to c8, and then to b7. Actually, instead of moving to a6, I think black wants to move the bishop to b7. Maybe black wants to attack this diagonal. Imagine, remember we said black wants to play f5, right? So maybe the bishop and the pawn can work together to attack the pawn. So rook d1 and g6, okay, and bishop c1. Oh, that's an interesting move. Does anyone know what could be the purpose of bishop to c1? Why did white move the bishop back to the c1 square? We talked a lot about piece development, but in the middle game, why play the bishop back to the starting position? Jack.
Maybe like if they could, they might have tried to move the b pawn and then go to a3 to attack d6 maybe because the bishop might black's bishop might be on g7, so they might try attack like d6.
Okay, yeah, d6 could be a weak square. Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe move the bishop to a3, looking at our rook and our bishop. That could be something to try. Any other thought, Clara?
I was maybe thinking that I want to go to C1 because maybe instead of A3. You just go to like B2 because we moved the G pawn and now that diagonal kind of weak.
You mean like protect the B2 pawn?
Oh, white.
Yeah.
White.
So white can like protect this pawn because the bishop could like the black bishop could attack this diagonal. Mm-hmm. Or do you mean something else?
Uh, Now, like, instead of moving it to A3, like, cause like the E6 pawn's already defended kind of much, but even that's like it's quite weak. We can move it to B2,
Hmm.
and
We
then
move the bishop to E. Oh.
so then after you like target that diagonal, and then you can launch your pawns forward and stuff.
You mean move our bishop to B2 and control this diagonal?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Yeah, that's also a good idea. I mean, this diagonal is something we can fight for. Mhm. And if we want to attack the king side, maybe if we have a bishop at G2, that'll be helpful. Is this Garry Kasparov game? Yes, it is, Blake. Have you seen this before? I think maybe some lessons or
I think I've seen it before.
yeah, this is a very famous one. This is a very famous one, and people analyze this game because of different reasons. Someone, um, yeah, study the like counter attack or Sicilian defense, but in our session we focus on the rook maneuver. Cool. So bishop c1. What is the reason? Let's figure out later. Someone else left a message. What do you mean yes and no, Jack and Jaden?
Well, I mean, no, I've never seen this game
I
before.
mean, like,
Okay.
I've watched, there's this lesson on chess.com which just talks only about this game, and I've watched it.
Yeah, as I said, this game is so famous. So let's keep going. So we move rook to c8. Ooh, the rook moved to b8 and then to c8. I mean, when the rook moved to b8, there's a bishop at c8, so the rook cannot move to c8 at that moment. But once we have bishop at b7, and remember the c5 is semi-open file, so black moved the rook to c8. So rook to d3. What is the purpose of this move? And how is this connected with bishop c1? Do these two moves have any connection? Jaden?
I do, because after rook on f2 d1, that bishop on e3 might like I don't know. I just think it's different because now the queen is actually aiming at e7 to the bishop, and maybe one day if they move to knight and the queen, they might be able to lose all their pawns. But for the bishop, it'll be harder to like capture all of their pawns, and it could get trapped.
Mm,
I don't even know.
okay. Or what could be the next move after rook d3?
I'm
Is
guessing
there
rook to d1, f rook.
okay? Attack the d2, d6. Sorry,
It's weak pawn right now.
double the rooks. But if we want to double the rooks, why do we play bishop to c1?
I don't, I don't get it either.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's to like maybe it's to help attack on a3.
a3. Okay. What do the rest of you think? What is the purpose of d3? Rook d3. What could be the next move? And yeah, and this is a move after bishop to c1.
Rook h3.
Rook h3. Remember, white has already expanded pawns to g5, f4. So I think it makes more sense that white wants to attack the king side because the pawn has already moved so far. And rook f3, because we used to have a bishop at e3, and the bishop blocked this third rank. So rook is planning move to the h file. And what could be the next move after rook to h3?
Queen h4.
Going to h4. So this is how white would attack our h7. But I have a question. So why? Because white has two rooks, right? If you look at the previous position, so why didn't white just play queen h4, rook f3, and rook h3? Isn't this simpler? Why did white play bishop to c1 and use this rook to h file?
Because
Why
the
don't we
rook,
use?
the rook on f1 might support f5.
Exactly. So white, I mean, if you want to attack your opponent, so in the end, so we have to create an open file. So if we have our rooks at h3, queen at h4, and black could probably protect that with the knight f8, and that's it. So this, like, rook and the queen cannot do anything more if black has the knight at f8. And the next attacking should be something at f5. So white has to create pawn break or open files. And once open the file, we should have a rook guarding the f file. So this is how white design everything ahead and setting up a very good how to say I would say it's a very good coordination between the two rooks. So knight b4, attack the rook, and also aiming at c2, rook to h3, bishop to g7. Yeah, so bishop g7, if queen to h4, we can move knight to f8 to protect the pawn. Bishop to e3, and rook e7. Rook e7, this is what we mentioned earlier. Let's see. King to g1. I think king to g1. I think white because rook e7. What is the purpose of this move? This move looks so strange because we put the rook like covered by so many pieces. I think like Blake, you mentioned maybe we want to move this rook and f5 to
Also,
try to
maybe the rook can go h7 in the future.
Yes, that's another good point I would like to ask. So this rook can also be attacking the e file if we open the e file, but also like guarding the 7th rank. Imagine white play f5, we can have a rook guarding f7. This is very important because if you look at these two pieces, they're already like ready for opening the f file. And I think white realized black is going to play f5, and the bishop will have a longer diagonal to control, so the king moves to g1, and the move to e8 and rook back to d1. Because if you play e5, that's actually a mistake, because after taking the pawn, you will lose the bishop. So this move actually works as a very good defensive move against f5. So rook to d1 and black play f5, attack the center. And if you play e5, you will lose the pawn because black has so many pieces guarding e5. And if you take the pawn, black will take it to the e pawn, and these two rooks will be so dangerous. And what else? If you don't take my pawn, I could take your pawn. And if you take the knight, take it with the knight, maybe you will lose c2. Or black could trade the bishop and the knight first and take the e4. So black can do so many things at center. So instead, white take the f5 with en passant. This is also, I think, Jaden, you asked, what about en passant? And then we take the with the knight. And actually, the structure is still solid. These two pawns are still connected. So we also active our knight to f6. The knight also targeting e4. So now rook to g3, and black moved rook to f7. I think black is very flexible to use the rook. So because after f5, after the en passant, the e file is closed. So we cannot open the e file. If you play e5, trying to open that, actually black can play f5. So black can keep the e file closed. So that's why I say black is very flexible and then move the rook to f7 instead. So black tries to attack this file. This is a semi-open file. And white take the pawn. But you know what? You know what? Sometimes if you lose a pawn, the compensation is you can like open a file, semi-open file. So white win the pawn, that's true. But after queen b8, there is a potential threat on this like b file. And let's check it out later. So bishop back to e3 and knight h5, attack the rook, attack again, rook to h4, and g5. This is a very good move. As I said, we have a rook attack this semi-open file. So we try to open that, and pawn takes knight to g4. So this is discover attack. Even though we cannot win the bishop is still guarded. We can win the c2 because the queen is overloading, protecting two pieces. And after winning the c2, if you look at this knight, it becomes hanging. And we have, as I said, we can attack this b file once we move the bishop. The queen moves to b6, and we offer a trade. If you take my queen, I can move my rook to attack your knight. And also, once the knight moves, for example, d2, you can take the pawn, and this knight is also under attack. So the black rook will be so powerful once moved to the b file. And in this game, like black take the pawn with the rook. Okay, the next question. So black to move. What could be your move? What is the best move if you play black? Thinking of the rooks. So can we keep improving the position of our rooks?
Rook f8.
Which one? This one?
Yes.
Top of the rooks. And
Okay.
what you gonna do next?
And
Let's
rook
say
f2.
okay. Yeah, maybe you can move the rook to the second rank.
Or not g3.
Sorry?
You also got knight e3.
Knight to e3.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now the queen is guarding e3.
Yeah, then queen d6.
Okay, I see. So, but you mean rook f2, rook f8, rook f2, and then knight e6, something like that. Okay, but I mean, for example, if you move rook to f8, white could take our e6 pawn, and if queen to f2, since the rook is not on attack, maybe I don't know, the e3 is guarded. Yeah, could be something on f file. Any other thought? Jaden, your hand is up.
So, rook f8, and then rook takes the pawn, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. And then rook f2. Mm,
Mm.
why not just play queen takes b8 check?
That's a good point. The queen can take our queen, and then this f2 rook will be captured, right? Because the f8 rook protecting two pieces. Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, is there any other file the rook can control or attack? If you look at the black rooks. So if you look at the files, we have F file, open file is true, D file, open file, but it's not controlled by white root. C file, open file, can we do anything on that? B file, semi-open file, can we do anything on that? Or horizontally, can we do anything with our rooks? This rank?
Rook b7.
Yes, exactly. So this is a little like black play, rook b7. So as I said, if you remember, black lost the b6 pawn at the beginning or in previously. But actually losing the pawn, giving black a very good semi-open file. And you attack the queen, actually you can win the knight later, right? The queen protecting two pieces. So rook b7, that is the best move. And you can win the knight. And later you can of course take the b2 pawn. The b2 pawn is so weak. And you can move your rook to second rank. So rook b7. So I think this game is a very good example to show how can we maneuver the rooks or like improve the position. So every time I think black move the rook, I think Kasparov is very sensitive to how the position change of all the pieces on the board. Cool. So let's take 5 minute break. We have talked so many times. Let's take 5 minute break, and then for the last 10 to 15 minutes, let's review a game together. Let's take 5 minute break. Okay, so maybe we don't have to take a 5-minute break. If you feel ready, maybe we can like come back and okay, cool. So yeah, for the last 15 minutes, let's review the game. So this is game start with Italian. We don't have to walk through the all the moves, but first the thing is we play as white, and black has a queen at d4. So I have a question. How can we get rid of this center queen? I think this center queen is very like annoying, right? Can we come up with some solutions and find the best one, and also evaluate like each option? And white to move. How can we get rid of this d4 queen? Jack, do you want to share some idea?
I think in the game I played c3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that could be one solution. Kick the queen away. Yeah. Okay. So to the rest of you, what do you think? Do you have any other idea to get rid of queen? Jayden, what do you think?
Maybe queen to b4.
Queen to b4. Offer a queen exchange. Mm-hmm. That could be another thing. Any other move? What about queen to e3?
Doesn't queen b2 just win a pawn?
Oh, you're right. So we'll lose b2. Okay. So I don't think rook e1 is an option either because we will lose b2. So let's look at these two moves, c3 and a queen d4. Let's evaluate the downside or I mean the pros and cons of these two moves. So c3, we can kick the queen away for sure. But is there any downside with this move? Jada, your hand is up. What do you think?
d3 becomes weak.
Yeah, the d3
And
is
so d2
yeah.
for the time being.
Yeah, the d3 pawn could be a target if the queen go back and there's semi-open file, so there's no pawn protecting that. Unless, I mean, in this game, we play d4 immediately. So, but the thing is, after the exchange, there is an isolated pawn. So it could be a target. Yeah, that's the downside I could think about. But is there any downside with queen b4?
After queen takes, pawn takes, you have doubled pawns.
Yeah, we have double pawns. Yeah, that's true. And we open this file. I think either side has a rook. So it's hard to say, or do we? So how can we, is there any way we can control this file? We open the file, can we control that? I'm thinking, can we move rook to a3? Oh, no, it's not our turn. But I'm thinking if our turn, can we move rook to a3? If black takes a rook, we can resolve this double pawn. If black doesn't take a rook, we can move this rook to a1. But of course, black could play rook to a6, or maybe black can play this like before us. Here, rook to a6, we move here, and we trade everything. Yeah, maybe we can control this, or maybe we can resolve this double pawn. But the black doesn't have to take a rook. So maybe the four rooks will keep as it is. Yeah, so my point is I will play like queen to b4, and the reason is I won't have the d3 pawn as a target. So we play d4, and after the trade, rook to d8, we move this rook to d1, rook e8, rook d2. So actually, I think black can attack our pawn faster. Instead of move the rook to e8, maybe black can move the rook to d5. And if you move here, and here, c5. And I think our rook is pawn is dead. The pawn is pinned. So this is a problem with an isolated pawn. And in this game, black played rook to e8, we double the rook e7, and rook d7. And in this case, like after c5, the pawn can go upward, go to d5. But if you remember, what I did is rook to d5 immediately. Here, rook to d8, rook to d1. So now I play c5. The pawn cannot go up. So this is how we can learn from our opponent's moves. I think this pawn is dead. Yeah, this is how we like maneuver rooks, right? This is consistent with what we learned like earlier. So c5, then we play d5. The king moves out. I think the king is going to take our pawn. We play d6. So actually, it's a little bit risky to push the pawn on d6 because it's actually getting close to the black king. Or what do you think, Jack? So have you considered the safety of this pawn?
Well,
Oh.
I kind of thought that if I didn't do that, then my pawn would probably fall in the exact same way. Like, they'll just not really a difference.
I mean, if we keep the pawn at d5, at least it takes one extra move for the black king get close to our pawn. The king
Yes.
has to reach like e5. If we have the pawn at the d6, it takes only 1, 2, 3. The king can reach to e6 in 3 moves.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I like the part that we try to, limit the space of the rooks. But the only problem is the safety of the pawn. But we actually do have a method to rescue the pawn.
Yeah,
So
I think
yeah, rook king
I-
f2.
I have a feeling that once they play, I think I'm not sure, but when you play king e6, you check the king, and then you move back to protect the pawn, and if they come back, you just keep checking them.
Yes, exactly. So this is something maybe the rest of you are not aware of what we're talking about. So the black king is moving to e6. So how can we keep the pawn safe? For example, we move king to g3, if king to e6, how can we keep the pawn safe?
e2.
Yeah, we have 2 arrows on the board. Yeah, we can check the king. King go back, then we move here. So the position is quite balanced. I think we can get a draw in this position. So I mean, but in this game we move the king to e3. That slightly blocked our e file. Then after king to e6, we cannot move the rook to e2. We move the pawn here, takes, and we trade. Did we trade the rest of the rooks? Yes, we trade the rooks. And the game was turned into king's pawn end game. So you know what? So if we down with the pawn, like this rook pawn end game, I think most of the cases I don't recommend like trading the rooks, because after trading the rooks, so most of the cases, if you're down with the pawn, you're more likely to lose. And also look at this position. Black can create a passed pawn with black can create this passed pawn. So if we don't trade the rooks, for example, if we move the rook away, even though we give up this like open file, I think it's still positive to get a draw. Because once you have a rook on the board, you can keep the position like as complicated as possible. Does everyone of you agree in this case? Shall we trade the rooks or keep the rooks?
Definitely not trade.
Mm-hmm.
My teacher said never trade when you're losing.
Yeah, that's also another reason. Yeah. So if we like done with material, trading pieces make the game simpler most of the time. So the stronger side is more likely to utilize this advantage and win the game. So if we're done with material, it's better that we keep the position as complicated as possible. Um, for example, like keep pieces, keep many more pieces. So in that way, we can make it complicated. So yeah, so I think this is a very good example to show like how we utilize the rooks. Yeah. Okay, so that's it for today, and I don't have anything more to talk about. So keep working on your puzzles, and next time we can do something, some puzzles more, and let's see. Any question or thought before wrapping up? No? Okay. Then thank you, everyone. Have a great night. See you next
Bye.
time. Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.